Eric Collins was the #1 wide receiver coming out of high school, and he finished as the #1 wide receiver in the nation his freshman year at TCU. Despite his individual performances, Eric Collins and the TCU team would struggle as they fell to 3 losses all in the last 3 games of the season. Coming into our sophomore season, we would be currently ranked as the #5 team in the preseason polls, and we would have a new guy throwing us the ball, Chandler Morris. Heading into the season, Eric Collins is the top 5 favorite to win the Heisman this year, and he also will have a lot of pressure going on to him as we will be taking on a small FCS school in our first game of the year. Eric Collins is looking to start off hot as he would take a drag route on his first catch of the year for around 15 yards and then later capitalize that first drive off with an easy touchdown. Playing a smaller school in the first game, Eric Collins looked to dominate and stuff the stat sheet up as he would look to make a Heisman push in this season, and Eric Collins is looking like the best wide receiver in the league so far. Already playing with a 16-point lead, we are looking to put a dagger early in this game in the first half, and Eric Collins is going to take a huge touchdown all the way to the crib. TCU would coast to an easy blowout win as Eric Collins would have his best collegiate game yet, having 269 yards and 3 touchdowns, absolute video game numbers. But in game number 2, we will be taking on the #4 ranked Oregon Ducks, and Eric Collins would start this game off hot as he would take a corner route to the outside, break a tackle, and go all the way in enemy territory, juke out defenders, but would finally go down at the 15. Unluckily, our coach would take us out on 3rd down, and we would take a bad sack right here, and then on 4th down, we would just chuck it out of bounds, and that turned out to be nothing. Eric Collins wouldn't see any more action until late in the first quarter, where we took another corner route, which seems to be our only route we run on this field, and then an out route to finish that off for our first touchdown of the game. With under 30 seconds remaining in the half, Oregon would put a one-on-one corner with us, and Eric Collins would dominate on a corner route and take it all the way to take the lead right before halftime. Despite a high-scoring first half, we would only tie up the game with 2 minutes left, and this game would be going to overtime. Going into this game, the score was 27-27 in overtime, and we are just going to keep on scoring. No team can get a stop on this football field, and we are heading into the 6th overtime. Although it was a high-scoring game, Eric Collins only had his first catch in the 6th overtime that would lead to a touchdown, but we were not able to convert on the 2-point conversion, and we were going to a 7th overtime. Oregon being literally unstoppable on offense, we need to go crazy, but on 3rd down and 10, we do not get the first down, and we have to settle for 3, and this almost feels like it's game over. Luckily, our defense got an interception, and TCU would go on to beat the #4 ranked Oregon Ducks, and Eric Collins had his best game ever with 362 yards and 3 touchdowns. Despite having 350 yards, Eric Collins still found himself offside of the Heisman watch, but that was due to having 2 early bye weeks. Eric Collins would take that chip on his shoulder and take it into the next game, where we are currently ranked the #1 team in the nation, and we are taking on an 0-2 SMU team who has a 4-point lead on us in the 3rd quarter. But Eric Collins would take over, juke out 2 defenders, and take it all the way to the 5-yard line where we get tripped up. The SMU team would not be giving up as they take another lead, but Eric Collins has something to say about it, and he is making Division I football look like a piece of cake. Eric Collins wouldn't see much more action until this slant, which would get us a first down where we were able to chew out the rest of the game, and TCU would hold off the upset from this SMU team. Luckily, after our performance against SMU having multiple big play touchdowns, Eric Collins found himself back inside of the top 5. Our schedule is only getting harder and harder from here as we're going to be taking on another top 10 ranked opponent in the Kansas State Wildcats. Eric Collins, looking to start off hot, would take a drag route on his first touch of his game all the way down the sideline, past the 50-yard line, and we're already in enemy territory. Trying to capitalize off the big play and score a touchdown on our first drive of the game, Eric Collins is going to catch a ball and fall back 5 yards and lose the first down. We are now trailing by 10 points in this game, and we are looking for about anything on offense, and Quentin Johnson will throw a great block right there, and we will take an out route all the way, and we have a little bit of momentum on our side. Kansas State would go ahead and score a touchdown once again and take a 10-point lead right back, but Eric Collins would break a tackle after catching a ball in the seam, and he only has a couple defenders to beat, jukes out the last one, and he cuts this lead back down to 3. Our defense would finally get a stop, so we were looking to put up some points on the board to either tie this game or take the lead, and Eric Collins is going to continue to dominate and get his 3rd touchdown of the game, and we finally have the lead. Now playing with a 4-point lead, we're looking to end this game off with a couple more points right here, or either chew this game all the way out, and Eric Collins is going to help that cause, getting multiple first downs here on the last drive. Those first downs would end up helping us chew out the game against the Kansas State team, and we would remain undefeated, and Eric Collins is basically averaging video game numbers. Later in the season, we are still undefeated and now taking on another ranked opponent, and we are looking to dominate once again, and Eric Collins is getting active early in this one, catching multiple balls on the first drive and already have above 50 yards. Scoring points at will against ranked opponents made us feel like we had the best offense in the entire league, and it wasn't just Eric Collins, as our entire wide receiver group and the tight ends were also dominating in these big games as well. With the ball in the red zone already having a 14-3 lead, Eric Collins would score his 2nd touchdown of the game, and and we are looking to go on and dominate this Texas team. We would coast to an easy win against Texas, and this team looks like one of the best in the nation, but we have one big team remaining on our schedule before the playoffs. With the remaining of our schedule being very easy, this is definitely our biggest must-win game of the season, as we are looking to start off hot against Oklahoma. Eric Collins would run his route too short right here, and we would get picked off on the first drive of the game. Now trailing by 7 points and Oklahoma getting the ball at half, we need to put points up on this board, as this team is a very good offensive team as well, and our offense would later do so, as we said it on the sideline. Oklahoma is now 2 for 2 on their offensive drive, scoring touchdowns, and our quarterback would throw an interception underneath, and they would return it all the way back inside of our 10-yard line, and this is not looking good at all. With our quarterback struggling, already have 2 interceptions in the first quarter, we need to get some points up on the board, and he's going to chuck it up and throw his 3rd interception of the game, and it's only the first half. Now trailing by 21 points in the second quarter, we are looking to put some points up on the board as Oklahoma once again gets the ball at half, so we need to do something here, and Eric Collins would finally cut in the lead and cut it down to 14. Our defense would get us a stop with only 22 seconds remaining. We need a miracle to get some points up on the board right before the half, and Eric Collins would have 2 consecutive catches in a row to get us inside of the 20, but on the 3rd and final play right before the half, Eric Collins would destroy the corner, and it's all of a sudden a 7-point game. With Oklahoma already having 35 points, the only thing we could do is just keep scoring every single possession, and our wide receiver group is going to help us. It is not just Eric Collins' game, as he's going to take it all the way off of a slant. Every time we would score on offense, Oklahoma would respond with a touchdown right back at us, and we are looking to cut it back down to 7, and Eric Collins would dunk on the safety and cut it back down. Our defense would finally get a stop on Oklahoma, but still trailing by 8 points. We would need a 2-point conversion, and our wide receivers are going off as we break 2 tackles to get all the way in. And on the 2-point conversion, Eric Collins would get targeted, but he would get held at the 1-yard line. We would get the ball back, and now trailing by only 2 points. Our kicker cannot really kick a field goal from here, so Eric Collins has to do it all himself, and then only with 1 minute and 31 seconds left, we are going to score a touchdown and take the lead back finally. After coming down from a 21-point deficit to the top 10 ranked team, we feel like we are the best team in the nation, as Eric Collins has another big game with 296 yards and 4 touchdowns. Despite breaking almost every college wide receiver record, Eric Collins would finish in 2nd place, but only behind his quarterback at TCU, Chandler Morris. Eric Collins would finish the season off with almost 2,500 yards, 28 total touchdowns, and almost 150 catches. After finishing the season undefeated, we are going to be taking on the other undefeated team in the National College Football Championship, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Eric Collins would start this game off hot, catching a ball down the sideline and taking it past defenders, breaking tackles all the way near the 50-yard line. Looking to tie this game on up, Eric Collins would catch another ball down the sideline where he's going to get a couple rack yards after, and then on the next play, a corner out would get thrown our way, and we would find ourselves inside the 5-yard line already. After being exhausted from the first couple of plays, we would have to watch Chandler Morris throw a touchdown to our backup wide receiver to tie this game on up. Our special teams would force a fumble on the kickoff return, and we found ourselves once again on the goal line, and we would easily punch this one on in with our running back. With an Ohio State run taking a 7-point lead, we are looking to answer right back right before halftime and tie it on up. Eric Collins is going to catch multiple balls over the middle, but on this next one, we're going to take a nasty hit stick. After taking a couple plays off after the hit stick, Chandler Morris would find Eric Collins wide open in the back of the end zone, and this game is tied up going into halftime. A big reason why Eric Collins chose TCU when he was coming out of high school was to play next to Quentin Johnston, and that is the guy that is going to go off in this championship game as he dominates on a huge 47-yard catch. Eric Collins wasn't really playing in the red zone offenses this game, as we were running the ball down there in the Ohio State territory, so getting us into a good field position was all Eric Collins was trying to do, as he did once again here, which would later lead to a touchdown. Now in the 4th quarter with 3 minutes remaining and having an 8-point lead, we are looking to put a dagger in this game, and Eric Collins would take a catch from the 4-yard line, and this would be a 96-yard touchdown, his longest ever in his career. Despite TCU losing their starting quarterback to the NFL draft, Max Duggan, we bounced back next year, went undefeated, and won the National College Football Championship, and we also had a great journey along the way. If you've made it this far in the video, make sure to hit that like and hit that subscribe button. We have RTGs coming out every other day.